for your attention. We have a very special guest today on our 4:30 hour. Normally, we have a special guest at the 5 o'clock hour, but in light of his schedule and the intense pace that he is representing us in New Jersey, we have Matt Placken, the Attorney General for the state of New Jersey. And I must say, General, that you have made me a hero in my barbershop. I was talking about that I'm going to interview the Attorney General, and one of the barbershop philosophers said, "You know the Attorney General?" I said, "Yes, I know him. He was talking to my class at Stockton, and he has been to Atlantic City several times." And I said that we are honored to have a relationship with the Attorney General. So, Attorney General, welcome.
Is Councilman here?
Yes. Can you hear us?
Oh, okay.
Okay. Attorney General, welcome to the microphone. We want to thank you for taking your time to be with us today on your NAACP Speaks. And I just want to tell you that Whitney Lewis and Ray Royster represented your office very well when they were down here last week at the Coalition for a Safe Community, our holiday event. And I just wanted to tell you publicly how efficient and professional they were. General, can you hear us? I don't. I think we're having technical difficulties.
Can you hear me, Councilman?
Yes, General. Good afternoon. What I said was, very briefly, first of all, I said you made me a hero in my barbershop because I was talking to, and as you know, the African American barbershop, in addition to being a barbershop, it's also a community parlor, it's a town hall, it's a place that we discuss issues of the world and solve problems of the world. I told one of my barbershop philosophers, I said, I'm getting ready to interview the Attorney General. He said, the Attorney General for what state? I said, the state of New Jersey. I said, he's been in Atlantic City several times, and I must say that we developed a very good relationship, and I consider him a friend and a brother beloved. And the conversation stopped. One of my philosophers said, are you exaggerating, Councilman? I said, I hope not. I said, tune in and you will hear for yourself what the Attorney General has done and how we work together. But General, welcome to the mic. And I wanted to let you start off in whatever fashion you want to, but let me just cue this up. You've, in my mind, been one of the more outstanding Attorney Generals that we've had in the state of New Jersey, and I've worked with several. You know where South Jersey is. You have been active and involved here. And I said before we had our technical difficulties that Whitney Lewis and Ray Royster did your office proud. They were here last week for the Coalition for a Safe Community for a holiday event, and they were their usual professional and efficient self. But let me ask you this, and this is again from one of my barbershop philosophers. They asked me to ask you about some of the suits that you have brought against the Trump administration, and they are for them, but they said which ones, if you had to select 3 or 4 of the most significant suits that you brought, and why?
Wow. Well, first of all, Councilman, right back at you.
Yes.
That means a lot. You and I have been friends for a long time. You're an incredible partner. You do incredible work in Atlantic City, a place that not only have I been to several times, I joke with you, I get a second home from about May to October in AC.
That's right.
And I love, from the walks we've done, to the work we've done, to coming on the show. By the way, the first time I was on this show was when I met Yolanda, who then we recruited to come and join us full time. So,
That's
you
right.
know, It's been a long and really fun and rewarding journey. And Atlantic City and Atlantic County is such a incredibly important part of our state. And you've been an exemplary leader. I've been with you in the neighborhoods, talking to folks, people who don't usually see an attorney general or law enforcement in that particular light. Probably don't even know what an attorney general does, but they know what you do, and they know that you're there. And I appreciate that you took me into parts of Atlantic City that, frankly, too many people ignore, and the great parts of the city. And so I've cherished our friendship, and I thank you for your support. You tell your barbershop philosophers that that we really are good friends, and I appreciate them.
Thank you, John.
Look, the lawsuits, and you've been a constant champion of this. We do this work the same reason why we combat gun violence or drugs or community violence or whatever we're talking about. Anytime somebody breaks the law and hurts the residents of this state, I have an obligation. It's not a choice. I have an obligation to stand up for them. And, we filed over 40 suits now against this administration since January. We've been successful in almost all of them. And they're really important things that we're talking about. So from day one, first day of the administration, the president, with the stroke of a Sharpie, tried to rewrite the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution to say that babies born on U.S. soil are not American citizens. Now, that's a debate we settled in this country 157 years ago with a civil war. We said we weren't going to have that debate ever again. And so that lawsuit that we filed, that I was proud to lead up to the United States Supreme Court, that preserved birthright citizenship as a thing in this country, is something I'm really proud of. I'm proud that I'm sad we had to sue the administration, but I'm proud that we did and we won to keep 12,000 machine guns off our streets, something this administration was trying to redistribute that had been seized from people who would do harm in our communities. We had to sue the administration last month when they refused to pay SNAP benefits. Think about that. For the first time ever, 850,000 New Jerseyans benefit from the SNAP program. We're talking about 350,000 kids' food. If it wasn't for our lawsuit, those benefits wouldn't have been paid. We've sued to protect funding for education, particularly for kids with special needs, Head Start, higher education, law enforcement funding, health care, funding for our veterans, funding for our seniors, low-income heating assistance. Oh, I can keep going. These are real things that really affect people's lives. And all we were doing is saying, when there's a law, the president doesn't get to decide he wants to break it. And that's why we've been successful essentially in every case we filed.
Listen, let me just say this. As the president of NAACP, we thank you and we salute you for filing those suits, for standing up for civil rights and civil liberties and social justice. And really, I think you've, I know when you came to my class, the students said the same thing, that they did not, first of all, they never knew what the Attorney General did or who the Attorney General was, and they never thought they would actually be face-to-face with the Attorney General. Let me ask you this question.
That makes two of us.
Yeah. That's funny. Let me ask you this. As you look back on your tenure, what would you say has been the nadir of what you've done?
Look, I got involved, and we've talked about this, in the effort to combat gun violence in high school. Right. It's been a quarter of a century I've been working on this. And so now that I sit here, 3 years ago I said we were going to be below 1,000 shootings in the state of New Jersey. Now that's way too many, but we had never been below 1,000 in the history of the state since we've been tracking these statistics.
Is that right?
We've been under 1,000 3 years running, under 1,000 in 2023, under 800 in 2024. In 2025, we're tracking to be well below 600. That's almost 1,000 fewer people shot than a decade ago. So you think about that. How many lives have we saved? We don't know who those people are, but we know they're out there. I'm proud of the fact that we're the first state in the country to have a program like Arrive Together, which is a response to a mental health crisis, providing mental health resources instead of just relying on a criminal justice system. We've helped 14,000 people through this program now. First state in the country. It has saved lives. we've had 0 injuries in these calls, which are the ones that are most likely to result in an injury either to a civilian or to a law enforcement officer. I'm proud of the fact that we've taken on some of the biggest companies in the world, companies run by people who want to be, openly say they want to be trillionaires, but don't put safeguards in place for protections for our kids or our seniors or other vulnerable people. We've sued them, whether that be TikTok or Meta or Apple or Amazon. We haven't been afraid of a fight. And frankly, Councilman, I'm also proud of the work we've done to combat corruption. You know, this is a moment where too few people have faith in their government, where too many people don't think their government works for them, and it paints tremendous public servants like yourself, who do hard work and selfless work and do everything right, paints everybody with a bad brush. We all get painted with that same stain of corruption. And so I'm proud that we've continued to do this work at a time when the federal government has stopped, and frankly, when people in Trenton have tried to make it so unpopular that we wouldn't do it. We haven't backed down from that mission.
Well, you know, that leads me to the next question. And let me just say, Your Arrive Together is a great, great program. As I've said to you before, many times when they have these mental health issues, it's a person of color, and it doesn't end well. So it's to your credit, to your great credit, and to the benefit of the citizens of New Jersey that you have arrived together. I'm proud to say Atlantic City has that.
One of the earliest partners was in Atlantic City. 14,000 cases, Councilman. And we don't know how many of them would have resulted in injuries, but we know, to your point, that 2/3 of all calls that involve mental health result in a use of force.
Absolutely.
So we know that this is statistically the most likely call to have a bad outcome, and we've essentially eliminated those through this program.
Listen, that leads me to the next question. You took over the city of Patterson's police department. What is your, I don't want to say analysis. Would you, if you had to do over again, would you do the same thing with Patterson?
Every day of the week. Look, that was a tough decision. I believe in local control. I believe we have extraordinary local police departments across our state. I think it's an extraordinary decision to take over a police department, especially the third largest city in our state. I didn't do that lightly, but it was 100% the right decision. There was a crisis of confidence in that city. Our law enforcement officers were put in an impossible position. They were at risk. Our community in Patterson was at risk, and something needed to be done to break the glass, bring in new leadership, bring in new resources, rebuild trust with the community, and provide, again, to the third largest city in our state, public safety that they can be proud of. That is happening now. We brought new leadership in, we brought resources, we brought training, we spent the time. I sat in a church for 4.5 hours and listened to every single person who wanted to come and make their voice heard. I didn't care how long they spoke for or what they had to say. We were going to listen, and we were going to be responsive. And from day one, I said we're going to do things differently. And we did. And when you go to Patterson now, those officers are happier, the public is happier, crime is way down, trust is up. It is, I believe, the biggest successful police turnaround and public safety turnaround in the United States of America. And I'm extraordinarily proud of what we've been able to do there. And I'm proud of that department, and I'm proud that when I go now to events in the city, I was at one over the summer with 1,000 kids interacting with those officers and having a great time. That's what we want to see. We don't want to see barricades in front of the department like what I saw when I showed up there in March of 2023. So I'm very proud of, I would do that decision again. It's one of the proudest moments of my professional career.
General, I have to say for the record, I know people in Patterson, and the changes that you have brought around the takeover of the police department and the initiatives that you made is nothing short of miraculous. And I take my hat off to you. It was a bold move, but I think a much needed move. And I think when the history of this is written, people will be saying that this is a model for what you can do if you get to that situation. Hopefully, we won't have that level of angst that makes your move necessary. But I think you did it, and it helped. The bottom line, the relationship between law enforcement and the community. So,
yeah. Councilman, you and I know a lot of the same folks in Patterson, and I said to them day one, I'm not going to ask you to come up and praise this.
right.
Judge us by our actions, judge us by our results. What speaks volumes to me. Some of the same people who have been protesting the department for years or decades, who were there the day I went there in March of 2023, who were out in the crowd upset, justifiably, stood with us last year to talk about the turnaround we have had in that city. Now, I didn't ask them to do that. We didn't pay them to do that. They did it because they've seen real change that they have been asking for. Here's the thing, and you know this because you've been doing this a long time. When you listen to folks on the ground, when you respond to their concerns, when you treat them with respect and dignity, guess what? Everybody wins. We can do big things together. We don't have to be adversarial. I've never been to a community and never will be to a community that wants more crime. Everybody wants public safety.
Absolutely.
They also want to be treated with respect. And I don't think those things are inconsistent.
If you just tuned in, we are talking to the Attorney General for the state of New Jersey, Matt Placken, who has been a great, innovative, effective Attorney General and a good friend of Atlantic City. Let me ask you about another one of your initiatives, General, the Ramadan awareness and the Ramadan program. Muslims across the state are universally praising you for the initiatives that you did around Ramadan. For those of the listeners, Ramadan is a period of 29 to 30 days where Muslims fast during the day and break the fast with a meal and pay closer attention to prayer and devotions and spirituality. First of all, what made you do everything that you did around Ramadan? And I'll let you explain what you did. And what is your, I will tell you as a Muslim and as someone who's involved across the country, that they're not doing what you have done in many places, but people are starting to look at it, and I think that's a example of what can be done.
Well, first of all, I have to thank you. You've welcomed me into a number of rooms. I remember our great visit to Masjid Muhammad in Atlantic City. We've spent a lot of time building bridges with a community that justifiably has not always had the most trust in law enforcement. Right. Look, I believe in this moment where too many people feel afraid, not because of anything other than who they are, how they look, what language they speak, how they worship, and that really bothers me. And so I may be a practicing Jewish resident of our state, but I've benefited from interfaith exchanges. In college, I developed one of my best friends in the world is Muslim, and I had to go to California where I went to school to meet him, even though he was from New Jersey too. And I always thought that was sad, because we have one of the most vibrant and one of the most diverse Muslim communities in America, right, in our state. And it's a community that justifiably right now is afraid. We've seen the rise of Islamophobia, just as we've seen the rise of anti-black violence and anti-Semitic violence, and just about every community we've seen a rise in bias activity against them. And I feel, as the Attorney General, as the Chief Law Enforcement Officer, as the ambassador for law enforcement to our state, I have an obligation to build those bridges. And so we did a number of things, but what you're referencing, and I'm really proud of this, I was the first Attorney General, a Jewish resident, a Jewish Attorney General, first one to host a Ramadan celebration, to host an iftar. And we've done it now every year that I've been here. You've been a huge participant. We've had hundreds of Muslim residents from across the state, law enforcement officers, community leaders, ordinary people come to our iftars. And I have, personally, I feel like during the holy month of Ramadan, I attend, I'm at an iftar just about every night, in no small part because the food is phenomenal, but also because I want people to see me and see how much we care and know that this is a real partnership. And it's a beautiful faith, and we should be building those bridges, not tearing them down.
Well, I think you built a lasting initiative in the state, not only with interfaith, but with recognizing Ramadan and participating at the highest level. And again, I'll tell you again, the barbershop philosophers are 200% in agreement with that. That brings me to Hanukkah. Let me wish you and all our listeners a happy Hanukkah. This is holiday season, a Merry Christmas, happy Kwanzaa, happy King's Day. Let me ask you, General, with the horrible events that happened in Australia around the Hanukkah observance and the killings. What do you see happening in New Jersey, and what measures that you can talk about are you taking with regard to Hanukkah? I think today is what, the fourth day of Hanukkah?
The third, yes. Tonight's the third night, yeah.
Third night.
So, first of all, thank you.
Right.
Obviously, what happened in Sydney was yet another unspeakable atrocity. And again, it reminds folks, even though things happen halfway around the world, people feel it here at home.
Right.
And that sense of anxiety and that sense of fear is palpable amongst our communities in our state. And obviously that hit home in our Jewish community. Look, I go to a synagogue in Bloomfield that itself was the victim of a firebombing while I was Attorney General. So I know firsthand how this feels. And we don't have any known threats, but because in New Jersey, which is a good thing, but because of the fear that people have, I've directed all law enforcement to be on heightened patrol visibly around gatherings, houses of worship, to ensure that people feel safe. And by the way, I've been for both the Jewish community and the Muslim community since the attacks on October 7th. I have had a policy statewide. There will be no resource requests from any of our faith communities, but particularly from our Jewish and Muslim communities, that will be denied. Every single one, we will make sure they want law enforcement presence. We will make sure they're there, that they're culturally sensitive, that they're trained, and that's why we do those events. But I just want to say also, as we go into the Hanukkah holiday, I know it's a Jewish holiday, but I think there's a universal message coming out of it. And Hanukkah is the only Jewish holiday where we're instructed to practice our faith outside and to broadcast the menorah with the candles lit to the whole world. And that's a very big part of the holiday. And I think given so much of what we see now is the darkest side of humanity. And I think it's really important, regardless of your faith or what you subscribe to, that I hope that message of light drowning out the darkness takes hold. Because we've seen a lot of really awful things. But I've also seen some really good things. And I've seen a lot of those with you. I've seen them out in the community, good people who do things that get no attention to help others. And that is what I hope people, that's what inspires me to do this work, and that's what I hope people take from this holiday season.
General, I can report to you and to our radio audience that in Atlantic City, we have a menorah in the lobby, and we have a Christmas tree in the lobby of Atlantic City, and we have a Kwanzaa sign banner in the lobby of City Hall, Atlantic City, because, as you know, Atlantic City is a multicultural, multi-faith, multi-generational town, city, and we recognize everyone, and we lift everyone up. Let me ask you this. Let me say this, too, announce to you. Friday, as many people know, is the day that our Jewish community has their Shabbat service. What we're doing in this Atlantic City branch of NAACP, our religious committee, along with myself and along with members of Bridge of Faith, we're going to a local synagogue to show support Friday evening, not only to support Hanukkah, but to show support for the Jewish community, that they are not alone and that we stand against the attacks that are happening too across the country, and particularly in Australia. So we're going to do that this Friday. So I want to let you know and let our audience know. But also, unfortunately, our president, President Trump, castigates groups that he feels not in power. I wanted to ask you this question. Where do you see the state going, and what have you done with regard to immigration? I know that you've been on the forefront with that, and the failed policy this president has had. He's supposed to be rooting out people who are criminals, and he ended up going to Home Depot and rooting out people who are trying to go to work. What is your view on immigration and how we should fight that in New Jersey?
I think we're a nation of immigrants. I think New Jersey is the state of immigrants. 2 million people in our state are immigrants. We sit in the shadow of the Statue of Liberty and of Ellis Island. It's how my family came here. It's how families across our state came here. And it's what makes America special, our diversity. We shouldn't run from that. New Jersey is the most diverse state in America. We should be proud of that. I found that to be what makes New Jersey an amazing place to live. You drive 20 minutes in any direction, you can experience and embrace and learn from any culture in the world. That is what makes us special. We are the densest and most diverse state in this nation. And a huge part of that diversity is because we have attracted immigrants from around the world for centuries. And it really bothers me, we'll get to the legal side of it, but it bothers me to see good people who have done everything right, who have come here, who have built a life here, who have paid their taxes here, who have started businesses here, who have served in the military here, be dehumanized and treated in this way. Some of the footage you've seen from cities across this country of people ripped from their cars, screaming children, had their ribs broken, been left hogtied on the street, had their doors broken down without warrants, often American citizens being treated this way simply because of how they look. It harkens back to some of the darkest days in our nation's history. And I don't think that's who we are. And I also don't think it's what the American public wants. Yes, we want strong border security. Of course, we don't want drugs coming in or guns coming into our community. Everybody would subscribe to that. But I don't think people are saying that an American citizen should be sitting in his bed in Chicago and have masked agents break down a door without a warrant and hogtie him and leave him on the curb, as happened in Chicago, in an American city in 2025. So I'm really horrified by some of what we've seen. It's put law enforcement officers at risk. It hasn't made us safer. In New Jersey, we've taken a different tact. Like I said, we stood up and fought for birthright citizenship, something I think is core to who we are as a nation. We have had, since 2018, an immigrant trust policy that just says when somebody picks up the phone and calls 911 and is a victim of a crime or knows somebody who's at risk, that we're going to respond to that crime and we're not going to threaten them or those around them with civil immigration proceedings. Because guess what? If you want people to pick up the phone and to call 911, they have to trust that the person on the other end is going to have their back and care about their safety and care about all of our safety. That's why chiefs from around the state have supported that policy. That's why the Third Circuit, the Federal Court of Appeals, including a judge appointed by President Trump, upheld it. So, I'll put our public safety record up against any state in America. You're 6 times more likely to be shot in Mississippi than you are in New Jersey. Mississippi sending National Guardsmen and women into harm's way. In Washington, D.C., they should care about their own backyard. I'll put our record up against anybody. But it's not going to get better by targeting good, hardworking, law-abiding immigrants who are just trying to make a better life for their family.
Agreed. You said 6 times?
6 times. In the state of Mississippi, you are 6 times more likely to be shot and killed than you are in New Jersey. Now, I want that number in New Jersey to be 0. Don't get me wrong. Right. But I'd much rather be in New Jersey than I would in Mississippi, I'll tell you that much.
That's an interesting statistic. I'm glad you said that, General. I didn't know that. I think I might have suspected that, but I didn't know that. If our president was more inclined to a studious analysis of things, I would recommend him looking at that, but he's not going to do that. Let me ask you, I know your time is limited. Are there some things that you wanted to discuss that I didn't ask?
We could start going through the list of our favorite restaurants in Atlantic City, but, but we'll have more time for that. But look, I am so grateful to you, both as a councilman for your leadership in the city, your leadership in the NAACP, which is an incredibly important organization. I think people should also understand the NAACP, its strength is in its local chapters, in the strong chapters we have across our state. And you have been an extraordinary leader in Atlantic County for a long time. We are safer as a state when we build these partnerships, when we build bridges. We are far more similar than we are different. And you have exemplified that. So I don't need you to ask me anything more. I'm happy to keep talking, but I really want to thank you. You've been, from day one, an extraordinary partner.
General, I don't want you to stop, but you're a very efficient staff. They said that he might have to leave at a certain time. Listen, our audience is privileged to hear from you directly, not only as an attorney general, but as an attorney general who has done so many significant things to actually impact their lives. Because our listeners, we have a broad swath of listeners, but our listeners are particularly attuned to social justice, to civil rights, to public safety, to the disparity in the treatment of people of color by law enforcement. And when we focus on those things, that's what the NAACP does. So we are honored to have you. Let me ask you another question. Where do you see groups like the NAACP in the coming year or two? Where should our focus be with regard to our involvement with law enforcement?
Well, I hope it will continue to be a strong partnership, and I hope we continue to build bridges, particularly in parts of the state. And I really strive to do this. You mentioned South Jersey. I mean, as you know, I did walks in Salem County, in Cumberland County, in Atlanta County, in Gloucester County, in places that sadly too often get overlooked.
Right.
We've got to go to places, not just the places that see us all the time, but the places that have never seen us. And that is really important, because the last thing we want is to be building those relationships when something's going wrong. Show up, keep showing up, and I hope and trust that the work that we've done will continue. And I'm really proud of the relationships we've built. I'm proud of the trust that hopefully we've helped restore or strengthen. And I think it bears, the numbers tell the story. We have helped reduce crime while building trust. These things are not, sometimes we like the narrative, and the president does this every day. They try to pit us against each other and make it seem like, oh, you're either anti-police or you're pro-community. No, I'm pro-police. I respect the hell out of our police. But we also can build relationships and build trust with our communities, that helps us do our job. When there's trust, we are better at building a safer community than when that trust is broken.
General, I'm so glad you said that. As the highest law enforcement official in the state of New Jersey, and people might not know that. For our listening audience, the Attorney General is in charge of law enforcement across the state. So I think it's important you said that there's not a dichotomy. You don't have to choose between public safety and good communications. And it is true, I don't know of anyone in any community that wants less safety. There might be such person, but I'm not aware of them in any community. Everyone.
I haven't met them. If you haven't met them, I don't think they exist.
But let me, our senior engineer and our media person from the NAACP, Kristen, is here, and she will not let me move on if I don't let her ask a question or make a comment. So, Kristen, go ahead.
I'm just going to double down on the thanking you for being here. We actually I had a few text messages from people who were saying that this was good information. And we feel privileged to have you on the show today. So again, thank you so much. I'm going to give it back to Kaleem so we can, wrap it up.
Well, thank you. Thank you for what you do and for being such a vital part of this effort.
Yeah, Kristen keeps our social media going, General. She's one of our younger members in the branch, and she keeps us plugged into what's happening now, and that's important. And you're right, I got a couple of text messages too. People wanted to ask questions, and one of our, I won't give their name, but they said that hats off. They think it's so important what you did around the Ramadan initiative, especially with some of the things that are happening all over the country and the world. I think we have 1 minute left for wrap up. Closing comments, General?
Just thank you. You know, keep the faith. I know there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of darkness, but I've seen so much good across our state. I've seen it every time I've been with you in Atlantic City. It lifts my spirits. We couldn't do this work without you. It's been an honor to serve as the Attorney General for all 9.5 million people in the state, regardless of who they are, where they live, or how they look. And I'm looking forward to continuing our friendship and our partnership, maybe with a different title, but same spirit of the work. So I thank you.
Thank you, General, and best wishes to you, your family. Happy Hanukkah, a happy 2026 and in the future. And again, I can't think of enough adjectives to use for the great work you've done, the partnership we've had, the trust that you've built, the bonds that you've strengthened, and when the history is written, Attorney General Matt Placken will be a shining star for everything that we discussed today. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've just been talking to the Attorney General for the state of New Jersey, who has done many things to move civil rights, social justice forward, to make sure that we have a strong relationship between community and law enforcement. Like I said during the interview, Attorney General Placken knows where South Jersey is. For several years, we kicked off the month of June, which is a gun awareness month, with a walk here in Atlantic City. It just happened to be in the district that I represent in the city, and he has always been there for us, and we thank him. Let me make a couple of NACP announcements for your interest. Please join us for the first NACP meeting of 2026, the first meeting of the year 2026. As you know, our regular NACP meeting is the second Monday of the month. We start promptly at 6 p.m. In room 204 at Atlantic Cape Community College in Atlantic City, 1533 Backrack Boulevard in Atlantic City. That's our regular NAACP meeting. We encourage you to come out. We encourage you to join the NAACP. Membership is only $30. And again, we start promptly at 6 p.m. For the NAACP meeting. We need you. We have work for you to do, and we want you to come and join and be a member of the NAACP. And also, I think we might have made this announcement last week. We are now accepting payments for our Freedom Fund. The annual Freedom Fund in Atlantic City for the NAACP will be April the 25th, 2026 at Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City. Tickets are only $150. You can start making your payments now if you want to make payments. Some people indicated they want to do that. If you want to buy tickets, you can purchase tickets, and you can send your check to P.O. Box 1182, Absecon, New Jersey 08201. P.O. Box 1182, Absecon, New Jersey 08201. That's the P.O. Box for the Atlantic City NAACP. Let me just tell you that for Martin Luther King 2026, Martin Luther King Day 2026, the Atlantic City branch of NAACP always has several activities, and we encourage you, invite you to attend all of the activities that you can for our Martin Luther King observation in 2026. The first activity is our annual Memorial Martin Luther King Jr. Walk, and that is going to be Monday, January 19th, 2026. January 19th, 2026. I got to get used to saying 2026. And that's going to be at 10:30 a.m. where we're going to gather, weather permitting, we're going to gather at Martin Luther King School Complex, which is 1700 Martin Luther King Boulevard in Atlantic City. So if you are able to join us, please join us. And I want to give a shout out again to Commissioner Reverend Collins A. Days, who was the senior pastor at Second Baptist Church, my great friend, colleague, and brother. He is going to be organizing the churches, as he did so well last year, the churches and faith communities to participate in the walk. Last year we had over 400 people who walked with us, even though it was cold. Hopefully it'll be warmer this year, but Reverend Days did an outstanding job, and we want to take our hats off to him. Also, his outstanding men's choir will be singing, and we thank them for doing that. And also to the host pastor of St. James AME Church, where the program is going to be held on Martin Luther King Day, January 19th, 2026 at 12 noon. Excuse me. At 12 noon, We want to thank Pastor Blanks for hosting. This is her second year. Her first year was last year in Atlantic City. She is the first woman pastor in St. James's history, and we thank her, our sister beloved. The walk is going to start at 10:30. Excuse me, and we're going to walk from Martin Luther King School Complex, and we are going to end at the Lieutenant Governor Sheila Y. Oliver Plaza, which is between the Atlantic City City Hall and Atlantic County Government Building. The Atlantic City, between Atlantic City City Hall and Atlantic County Government Committee building, Atlantic County Government Building. Please join us there at 10:30 in the morning. We're going to have a brief program, a brief laying, and then we will go to St. James AME Church, which is basically across the street, for the program, which will begin at 12 o'clock. I'm happy to announce that our guest speaker for this year for the program will be Dr. Yusef Salam. Dr. Yusef Salam is the council person from the 9th District in New York City, and he is also a member of the Exonerated Five. Some people might remember them as the Central Park Five, but we refer to them as the Exonerated Five because they were exonerated, despite the fact that our president, President Trump, doesn't recognize that and called for their execution. Dr. Salam is a twice elected official, a motivational speaker, father of 9 children, a outstanding American. So come out and hear him. Again, he's our guest speaker for the annual Martin Luther King program at 12 o'clock Monday, January 19th. Also, for those of you who might not be mobile or might not feel like making the walk from 10:30 to the Lieutenant Sheila Y. Oliver Plaza, St. James will be open from 10 o'clock on, and there will be screenings available by Atlantic Care. And we thank Kristen Ragland, who is our health co-chair in the Atlantic City branch of the NAACP. There's going to be blood pressure. There's going to be equipment that you can take home for a colonoscopy session. There's going to be diabetes testing, and all of that is going to be free of charge, provided by Atlantic Care in the Fellowship Hall of St. James before and after the program. From 10:30 to 12, they'll be testing. We're going to stop the testing when the program starts and go upstairs and hear our speaker, Dr. Yusef Salam. And then after the test, after that, they'll still be testing for a short while. So if you need to get your blood pressure checked, if you need to make a schedule for a colonoscopy, and we encourage you to do that, you can do all of that the morning of the 19th of January for Dr. King's birthday at St. James AME Church. After the program at 12 o'clock, from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m., 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. on the 19th of January, we're going to have our annual radiothon. And the radiothon is held here at WEHA. And again, we thank Brother Hawks and Sister Hawks for opening up the station to us. This will be the 6th year in a row that we've had the radiothon. And the radiothon is an effort to raise funds for the operation of the Atlantic City branch of the NAACP. We encourage you to donate. Everybody can participate. We don't have a set figure that we ask you for. Whatever your heart dictates and whatever your economy, your personal economy can stand, we would appreciate that contribution, that donation. And if you have nothing to give, we ask that you provide us with your prayers and inspiration that we are successful. So that's the activities that we're going to have on Martin Luther King's Day 2026. We encourage you to support all of them if you can. And if you say, well, President Shabazz, I don't have money to give for the radiothon, that's all right. We still want your presence at the program. The program is free. we do take a free will offering, but if you don't have anything to give, that's okay. Come to the program, come to the walk if you are mobile and can make the walk, do the walk. And again, the program for January the 19th, which is Martin Luther King federal holiday for Atlantic City at 10:30 a.m. We're gathering in front of the Dr. Martin Luther King School Complex, 1700 Martin Luther King Boulevard, where we're going to have our annual walk. And this year, normally we go to the Civil Rights Garden. This year, we wanted to go to the newly renovated Sheila Y. Oliver Plaza between the City Hall in Atlantic City and the Atlantic County Government Building. A beautiful tribute to Lieutenant Governor Sheila Y. Oliver, who was a couple years ago our speaker at the Martin Luther King program. In fact, that was during COVID when we were on Zoom. She was our very effective speaker. She was a civil rights fighter in addition to being an elected official. She was a social justice advocate in addition to being the first woman of color elected statewide. In fact, she was the first person of color elected statewide. So we will be in that plaza at shortly after 10:30 for the walk. We'll have a brief ceremony. We have a wreath laying every year and a brief ceremony, and then we will walk from the plaza across the street to St. James AME Church for 12 o'clock, where we will hear Dr. Yusef Salam, who will be our keynote speaker. And after that, from 3 to 5, we will be back here at this radio station. We encourage you, please support our radiothon if you are economically able to support our radiothon. All the funds stay here locally as we fight for civil rights, social justice, equity, and inclusion. And please circle for your advance calendar our annual Freedom Fund, which is going to be held Saturday, the last Saturday in April, April 25th, 2026 at Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. And our speaker is going to be, he'll be Lieutenant Governor then. He's Lieutenant Governor-elect Dale Caldwell, the president of Centenary University, a AME pastor, a civil rights and social justice advocate, a longtime member of the New Brunswick, New Jersey Board of Education, a entrepreneur, and a person who has ties, direct ties to Atlantic City. His father, Gilbert Caldwell, was the pastor for years at Asbury United Methodist Church here in Atlantic City. So he will be our speaker. We have sponsorships available, and we encourage you to support the Atlantic City branch of the NAACP. We're winding down. Kristen, any comments as we wind down? This is the last. We have, 3 more programs in 2025. We're just talking about how fast the year went. Today is the 13th. 2 more. Oh, 2 more after this. 2 more programs in 2025. Let me just say a great big thanks to Elder William Hawks and his lovely and efficient wife for being partners with us. When we come to Martin Luther King's birthday, that's always, in addition, obviously, to a national celebration, it marks our beginning on this radio station. It'll be 6 years, and we thank them. They have been faithful. They have been great partners. They've given us this platform. I forgot to mention that for those of you who might be working and can't get off, or might have a situation at your house that you have to take care of a loved one, or any kind of an occurrence that prevents you from coming to the program on Monday, January 19th, and hearing Dr. Salam. The program is carried live every year on WEHA, and it will be live again this year at 12 o'clock. That's another reason we start promptly at 12 o'clock. We start promptly at 12 o'clock because we want to be mindful of people's time and respectful of people's time. But Hawks tells us you got to start on time, Kaleem, because at 1 o'clock you're going off the air. So we want to know that we want you to know that we start on time and we respect your time. We're looking forward. And this year, let me make a personal plea. We're going to announce this until January 19th, every Tuesday, God willing, about the MLK activities and also, of course, about our Freedom Fund and other things that we're doing. But this year, more than ever, there's a concentrated, focused attack on erasing the achievements and the history of African Americans. And I'd like you to, if you can, to make an effort to attend our Dr. King programs and other programs in the area honoring and lifting up Dr. King. First of all, because he deserved it. His legacy is something that helped not only people of color, helped all Americans. And because we have a president who is aligned with voices that would take us back in the past and wants to erase our history. Don't let him do that. Come out to the Atlantic City branch, NAACP, Martin Luther King events, and all other events. I believe the library is having an event on the Saturday before Dr. King's birthday. I believe at 2 o'clock. It's going to be a reading. People are going to read excerpts from Dr. King's speeches at 2 o'clock at the Stockton Arts Garage. If you can attend that, attend that. And if you hear about other events that you can attend, please attend. Last week, we lifted up two people who were in World War II, Robert H. Daniels Jr. and Robert B. Tresvell Jr., who were pilots. Robert Tresvell was the seventh black American to graduate from West Point. He completed 23 missions and was awarded an Air Medal and a Purple Heart for his service. Robert Daniels Jr. Was a resident of New York. He was a pilot in the all-black 301st Fighter Squadron in World War II. And after returning from the war, he pursued a career as an air traffic controller. That was from last week. This week, we wanted to lift up two more heroes who were instrumental in World War II and our fight for freedoms that some of them, most of them, came back to the United States and couldn't fully realize. The first one is Lloyd L. Ratcliffe. Lloyd L. Ratcliffe was a Tuskegee Airman who was born in New Haven, Connecticut. He joined the U.S. Army Air Forces to become a pilot. Lloyd Ratcliffe, after completing his flight training, was stationed in Europe, but never got to see any combat. Eventually, he returned to New Haven, where he worked as a mechanical engineer. He got married to Evelyn Lanier, and together they had 8 children. Ratcliffe loved fighting and would often take kids on their first flight experience using his Cessna aircraft out of a local airport. His story is part of the Tuskegee Airmen, their untold stories exhibit at the New England Air Museum and the Tuskegee Airmen National Historic Site. Lloyd L. Ratcliffe, we lift his name up. And lastly, we lift up the name of Samuel L. Lieutenant. Samuel L. Lieutenant, a resident of Amityville, New York. Samuel was one of 6 brothers who served in World War II. He graduated from flight training in Alabama and soon deployed to Italy with the 99th Fighter Squadron. On April 12, 1945, Lieutenant's plane collided with another during a mission to Germany. He was declared missing in action on April 12, 1945, and declared dead in 1946. 70 years after Lieutenant vanished, his surviving sisters gathered to finally give him a goodbye. His family attended a memorial service with full military honors at Arlington National Cemetery. His name, Samuel G. Lefton, is on the tablets of the missing at the Florence American Cemetery and Memorial in Italy. He also has a headstone in Amityville, New York. Samuel G. Lefton. We lift up those names of Tuskegee Airmen who played a great part in our history here in America, and we're going to continue to do that. We're not going to wait to Black History Month, African American History Month, which is the shortest month in the year, to lift up the men and women who have done great things in this country, and we're going to continue to make sure that we underscore, that we honor, that we highlight African American history, the contributions, the achievements of people of color for this country. And we have a lot of things that people have done, and we're not going to step back. In the coming weeks, you'll hear again from Brenda Brathwaite, who is our educational chair, who's put together a African American history project that we're going to have in Atlantic City, and we're not going to have it in the February because. And there's nothing wrong with February events, but we believe, the NACP believes, that we shouldn't wait to February to cram all kinds of events and programs and activities about African American history. Then after that, everybody goes to sleep. So we're going to have that, and you'll be hearing more about that as we move closer to the launch of that history program. It's going to be for Atlantic City students only because this is Atlantic City NACP, and it's going to be something that you'll be proud of and something that's going to highlight the creativity of our young people who have great creativity, great promise, great potential, and we just want to spark that and tap into some of that. We thank the Attorney General Matt Placken, for taking time to talk to us today. We thank Whitney Lewis, who is in his office and helped make this interview possible. We thank our good friend Ray Royster, who is a resident of Atlantic County, who also works with us to make this interview possible. Of course, we thank Kristen, our ever-present social media person and chief engineer, for all of her hard work and diligence. We thank you, the listeners. Let me say again, and we'll keep saying this for before we get to Christmas. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy King's Day, Three Kings Day, and to our Hispanic Latino brothers and sisters, we see you, we hear you, we support you. We understand that there has been some ICE presence in Atlantic City, and we want you to know that we are with you, and we will continue to stand with you. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win.